everyone. Welcome to the June edition of Dr. Spotfire. My name is Neil Kanungo. I'll be joined today with Ninad Saleh. Today we're going to talk about the Spotfire Orientation Enablement Hub and ways to enable your organization as well as yourself with some self-help resources. As a quick announcement, TIPCO Now is next week in Chicago. So hopefully you got a chance to register. If not, you can go to the link at tipconow.tipco.com and register for the TIPCO Now conference in Chicago. We'll also have a session in September in London, so there's still time to register for that as well. I'll be presenting at TIPCO Now at a few different things if you want to come by and see me. I'll be doing a hands-on lab on day 1. I'm going to be showing some AI recommendations in Spotfire 10, streaming, and Spotfire data science. I'll be joined with another data scientist. And we have a full hands-on lab, so if you want to try some of the new tools out for yourself and learn some advanced features, feel free to join. It's the first thing in the morning on day 1. On day 2, I'll be doing a Dr. Spotfire podcast with Vishaka Mujiv. If you guys are longtime Spotfire users and Dr. Spotfire attendees, you might know Vishaka. She started the initial Dr. Spotfire program. So she was the original Dr. Spotfire, and we'll be doing a podcast talking about business practices, ways to help your organization, addressing different challenges. I'll also be participating in a tips and tricks panel. We'll be showing different different Spotfire tips. Vishaka will be on that as well as another customer. And we have a all about analytics breakout session where we're going to show the full TIPCO analytics portfolio as well as master data management and ways to combine all of the TIPCO products together to achieve some really unique and powerful solutions. Throughout the 2 days at the conference, I'll be at the GeoAnalytics booth for Spotfire. So if you want to come by and say hey, just look for the GeoAnalytics booth that's in the Technology Hub. So for Dr. Spotfire, our motto is learning is not driven by answers, but by questions. This is something I wanted to kind of pause on today and remind everyone that, you know, with analytics, the questions you're asking about your data, what you're looking for, is usually what drives the solution. So this is why we keep this as a motto. It's always something good to keep in mind as we're trying to take our organizations further and find new powerful ways to solve problems. So the Dr. Spotfire team, again, I'm Neil Kanungo here on the left. Ninad Saleh is on the phone today, and he's going to be presenting on the Enablement Hub, on the orientation page for Spotfire. We also have Robert Prishenko and Anna. They help with the emails and the coordination, as well as some of the post content to help you guys on the community, as well as with videos and YouTube, etc. Oops. So I'm based in Seattle, and Ninad is in Boston. And so today we'll be broadcasting again on the Enablement Hub and orientation page. So with that, Ninad, I'm going to hand it over to you so you can present.
Cool. Thank you. Hey, guys. So as Neil suggested, I will be presenting about orientation page. The idea behind orientation page is we want to help customer to move from their first login to first insight quickly. As soon as you buy Spotfire, how quickly and on which areas we can help you guys. So that's how this page is structured. The first part is about gain access, right? After you bought the product, there are so many questions from where you can download, how you can download, excuse me, guys. And we try to cover those under fulfillment and access, how you can go to e-delivery site and download your product, where you should learn about system requirement page, because you will need to start planning your implementations, documentation side, so product updates, so how you can keep yourself up to date with new release, security announcement, KB articles on the product you bought from TIPCO. This all is covered. I am not going to go through each and every sections, but the basic idea was to help customer on different phases of their journey with our product, so with Spotfire. So next section, if you see, is about get set up and start delivering the insights. So for administration, right, you have to think about installation, and there is so much in documentation. But what we did is there is this video which is like probably 8 to 10 minutes, which can give you overall summary of how installation will go. Or there is system requirement page. Again, this is, I'm stressing again because it's really important from scalability point of view for your Spotfire. For update and upgrade, now Spotfire, we are releasing new versions so frequently with new features. There is upgrade video, so you can watch that video and understand how your upgrade will go. So for data access, there are so many articles, links pasted for initial understanding and enablement from that specific role point of view. Same for analysts. If you want to have data functions, it goes deeper, like even excuse me, Iron Python scripts and API references. Next section, Neil is going to cover that section, so I will jump over to the top 5 tips. So this one is top 5 curated resources. For example, if you want to have free training, right, which are the 5 ways you can get it from TipCup? Or if you have any questions regarding product, which are the 5 ways you get your question answered? So that we try to cover in this section. The last section is about get help with additional resources, and this is, I always stress that technical support is really important. What we tried to cover in this is to give you guys basic understanding of TIPCO support portal, the thousands of knowledge base article we put there, and how you can search those and try to expand your knowledge around Spotfire using those articles and all that section. We also have paid customer success plans. We don't have anything public yet, but that will be under customer success plans. And similarly for consulting services and premium education and training. So overall, the idea is to help customer in their initial stages after they bought product, to guide them and help them toward successful implementation with Spotfire. So that is all about this page, and I will paste the link and everything in the chat when Neil will start presenting. So Neil, that's it from my section. Over to you now.
Thanks, Anand. Let me go ahead and get my sharing set up. There we go. Okay, so thanks for showing that, Nanad. And for the audience, we want to help enable you as individuals, but another aspect of this presentation is helping you share resources with your team and the rest of your organization to help other users. You might have brand new users that have never used Spotfire before, and giving them the orientation page where they can get kind of quick started and get an overview of what's available might be really helpful for them in their first month or two. If you have any program managers that help manage your Spotfire analytics program at your company, this might be something you want to share with them as well. And on this note, I'm going to show some enablement resources, and this is intended to be more than just showing you some training videos. It's really designed to be something that you can help scale across your organization. So in Spotfire, we typically see 5 different buckets for different roles that people have. So we typically see data analysts, and they're closest to the business. They're looking for insights. They're trying to find new ways to solve problems. They're asking a lot of questions. We also have a lot of report developers, which are really more interested in dashboard design and creating something that's easy to interpret, and large-scale reports that are for large audiences. They tend to come from sometimes a different background, Cognos, SSRS, Whereas your data analysts are usually coming from Excel, maybe they have some VBA, MATLAB backgrounds, different analytics tools. Now, Spotfire also, Spotfire also allows application developers to build custom apps in Spotfire using document properties, API, extensions, and application developers typically have like a C# or a Java background, and they have different interests with the tool than a report developer would have that's, again, more interested in visual design, or a data analyst that might be more interested in machine learning or advanced math, advanced statistics. Next, we have a data engineer here, and data engineers are concerned with everything data. So they care about what information, what data different user groups need, different business groups need, how that data should be cached so it's performant, what level of granularity is needed, what's the shared data between different departments. So they're really kind of a blend between looking at what the business needs and how the systems, the operations of the Spotfire server and Spotfire data environment works. They may build information links for you. They may provision data sources. They're going to look at the performance of your system as well. Now, last, you have the administrator, and the administrator is typically closest to the IT side, and they're essentially keeping the lights on. They're looking at how the system's performing. They're looking at the resources required. They're managing the different users. They're managing security, and they'll work often together with a data engineer to make sure that scalable and shared data sources are available to the rest of the organization. You might have just an administrator right now. Typically, we see with new customers, they just have a Spotfire server, and they'll have some analysts connected to the server, and they don't necessarily consciously fill in these three roles. Some more developed customers, some more mature customers tend to be more focused on emphasizing these middle roles. And what we see happen is, without you can always just connect an analyst to the server and get going, but what happens is the responsibilities of these three roles tend to get split across the data analyst and administrator, and that can tend to overwhelm certain people. So an administrator might be simultaneously trying to scale hardware and look at the systems, as well as like trying to create information links and trying to understand what the business users need. A data analyst may be taking time away from looking for insights and instead be just developing reports or trying to develop applications for the rest of their teams. And it might be stuff that they're kind of learning on the fly and they may not have as much experience with. So what we always recommend is to try and think about these 5 roles and the people in your organization that are good fits for these roles, and focus on how you can enable each of those individuals to be better at what they're good at. And this is a little bit of a diagram on how to do that. It's a phased enablement. At the top, this says COE team, that's for Center of Excellence. Some organizations choose to have a team that's either dedicated to, dedicated to setting up the Spotfire environment, making sure that the users are getting what they need, that they're successful, that they have training resources, that they have help, teaching them new things. And some people don't necessarily have dedicated people for it. It's just a shared responsibility across different experts around the company, people that are experts at analyst capabilities, data engineer capabilities, administrative capabilities, and it's more of a committee function. Now, if you have that type of function, or if you're starting to set up that type of function and you're looking at how do I enable the rest of my organization, it's important to think about phased enablement, which means not trying to teach everyone everything at the same time. It tends to not work as well because some users will need more help than others, or some will have less interest. What tends to work better is if you think about your power users and enable them at what they're interested in best, and then have them work to be the next layer to then enable the next round of power users. And in this way, you can pull your users up from a more basic level up into a power user level, and you're not overwhelming everyone at the same time. The other thing is, if you try to have let's say a power user report developer teach, 20 different report developers, that report developer may get overwhelmed with teaching people too many things, too many people, too many things, and it might take away from their ability to do their own responsibilities. So thinking about a good way to roadmap this is always a good idea. So how do we do that? So we have a competency matrix I'm going to show you in a second. And this breaks up Spotfire into different capabilities in the tool, different skill sets, and what should be expected for each type of role to develop advanced competencies and really have a good cross-functional team. And part of what, again, I want you guys to think about if you're working with your organization on scaling this is what a user experience would be on their first hour, their first week, and their first month. You don't necessarily, again, want to throw everything at someone in the first hour. The orientation page that Nanad showed is a good way to kind of distill just the important stuff right away and not overwhelm with just a giant list of too many resources. But as a user starts using the tool or administrator starts working with the environment, they'll be able to kind of go to the next level of information. And then that's actually probably a better time to start bringing in some of the enablement resources, the training resources that I'm going to show you. It's always good to have some context with the tool before you start looking at training and things like that. So, and then of course, then there's first month, and this kind of goes on into becoming a more active user at your organization. So let me show the competency matrix real quick, and then I'll go into the enablement hub. So this is published on our community, and the way this works is this is divided by each type of role. So you have just a beginner analyst and beginner admin. Earlier when I talked about the 5 different roles, you don't always know like who's going to be your report developer, who's going to be your application developer, who's going to be your analyst. So you might just start out with a beginner analyst and a beginner admin responsibility. Now, let's say you are just going to be a beginner analyst. I'm going to just hide this to make this a little bit easier to see. So you select your desired role here as a beginner analyst. And the way these numbers are created, the way they're shown is that for each of these skill sets, it's given a score of 0 to 4. So 0 means that the beginner analyst doesn't need to concern themselves with this topic at all, not at this stage. A 1 means that they should be introduced to the topic, but they don't necessarily have to have used that topic, used that skill yet. A 2 means that they can apply the concept in basic applications, but they might need help. So they're just kind of getting going with it. Proficient means that they can do it on their own and they can coach others on basic usage. They can start to go in that next tier of phase enablement. And expert means that they know this skill, they know a certain skill set to a high proficiency, they know the advanced usage of that, and that they can coach others on advanced usage of that skill. So for instance, with Create Visualization, a beginner analyst should seek to get to a level 4. They should really try to become an expert at creating a visualization. It's not too difficult of a topic. It's one of the core features of Spotfire as a visualization tool. And what we have here in these yellow columns are ways for you to self-rank yourself. So you can go through this and, like, let's say you're a 3 here. You can put a 3 down. And let's say on this next one, I'm understanding the right chart types to use, the proper usage of different charts. You're also a 3. This next one, you're a 3, and so on. And what this is doing is it's giving me a delta. So by the time I get to the end of the spreadsheet, I can clearly see where my deltas are, where I should spend more time, and where I have good proficiency in. So this can help you see what topics are out there. You might not realize, for instance, if you're a brand new user, you might not realize that markings and filters are different things. And this might be something that you search on the community for, or you look at training videos and try to skill yourself up with. So that's the competency matrix. Now let's move on to the let's move on to the actual Enablement Hub. I'm gonna pause here actually and take a look at the chat. Okay, so remember, so Nanad's answering questions in the chat right now. So remember, you can always post questions right in the Zoom chat or in the Zoom Q&A. Okay, so this is the Spotfire Enablement Hub. It's on the TIBCO community, and just search Spotfire Enablement Hub. Everything here is in Spotfire 10, the new version of Spotfire. And it's designed, again, with that kind of first hour, first week, first month type of mindset. So the first step here is quick start. And these are just 5 videos that total 20 minutes. And the goal is in 20 minutes, you should have enough of the basics and how-tos to start bringing your own data and sharing that around your organization. So there's, in particular, there's a video right here that's 5 minutes long, and it's on Creative Basic Dashboard. So if you click this, it'll take you to YouTube, where you see a Spotfire video where in 5 minutes, we show how to start from bringing in data and just create a whole dashboard on your own. So this won't go into all the details, but it's enough to get you interested, to get a new user interested, and get them productive with something right away. There's also a share and export video, and this is useful if, again, you're trying to scale, you're trying to show new users how they can share analysis with others or export to PDF. And I also wanted to point out this interact with a dashboard video. This is good to give business managers, executives, VPs, directors that may not be creating their own dashboards, but need to be able to use a dashboard. Once you create something, you want to make sure that the audience that's never seen Spotfire before, it might be just looking at it in a consumer web browser, that they can use the tool on their own. So interact with a dashboard is a short video that you can send to your director, your manager, whoever, or even a brand new user, and just help them use the other analytics in your environment, in your Spotfire environment. Now, after you have a quick start and you have some attachment with the tool and you understand what this tool is doing, it's good to kind of take a step back and look at the fundamentals. And even if you're a longtime Spotfire user, I would still recommend going back and looking at some of these fundamentals, in particular data access. So the data access in Spotfire 10 has been really simplified with the new UI. And this goes over the different ways to add data, connect to data sources, as well as like the differences between in-memory and in-database. So that stuff was maybe not as clear in Spotfire 7, but it's a lot easier to manage in Spotfire 10. And you get a lot different capabilities once you bring that data into in-memory versus in-database. And that's good to know. Sometimes people try to connect to a database source like a SQL server, and they say, how come there's no functions here when I use custom expressions? And they're maybe not realizing that their data is in database and they haven't brought it into the Spotfire memory. So this goes over all of that, as well as how to store the data in your analysis and share it. So I would recommend that. And there's also a conceptual overview video, and this is just kind of an overview of the different versions of the different licenses of Spotfire, what they can do, the analyst, the business author, the consumer. This is good for managers and new administrators as well. It also shows you a little bit of how the Spotfire environment works and how you can share DXPs with your organization. And it shows you how there might be different deployment areas, how to choose those deployment areas. And at the end, it talks about the different building blocks of Spotfire. So, in Spotfire, if you're trying to create visualization and you can't get to do what you want, it might be because your data table set up the wrong way, or maybe you didn't bring in the right data. So this talks a little bit about what a workflow looks like into building a final analysis dashboard. So I'd recommend taking a look at those videos. And then these active users are more on your first month. We're adding some new videos here. You'll see those with the star. There's also some existing videos. This will show you how to do data functions, how to do markings and filters, layout and design best practices, and data literacy, which is one of these topics that is not actually specific to Spotfire, but this goes into how to structure data sets, why wrangling is important, what your data should look like. And it's one of the topics that is often overlooked and becomes a bottleneck in a user being able to do what they need to do in a BI tool, in a business intelligence tool. Over here at the bottom, we have some cheat sheets. And if you look here, these are just some quick references. So for instance, this one's on custom expressions, and it shows you what the different part of the custom expression dialog is. And it also shows you some syntax and how, how to create those expressions, so you're aware of, what it should look like. If you're coming from Excel, the syntax might be a little different. So this is just a quick reference for you, no video required to watch and sit through. And we also have some things on color schemes, like understanding the difference between a binary, diverging, sequential, and qualitative, different types of color schemes. And these go along with some of the videos as well for context. So the last thing I wanted to talk about, actually, sorry, before I go there, I'll also let you know there is an interactive demo gallery. If you click that, it'll take you to this page where you can try some different analysis for yourself. This is sometimes good to get inspiration for different ideas. I find it useful to look at what other people are doing and how they use Spotfire and kind of learn off them. So playing with someone else's dashboard might be a good way to get ideas of how to represent data. So the next thing I want to talk about, we just have a few minutes left. I want to talk about Spotfire 10.3, which was just released a few weeks ago. And this is an LTS version. So this means it's long-term support. If you're not familiar with that, this is something you should make sure your administrators have if they're unaware of the long-term support and mainstream cycles. But essentially, long-term support versions of Spotfire are supported for a couple years, and they're released only like 12 to 18 months. And then there's other releases that are mainstream releases that come out. So Spotfire 10, 10.1, and 10.2 were mainstream releases, and Spotfire 10.3 is a long-term support release. And so we expect to see a lot more organizations starting to get Spotfire 10 now that the LTS long-term support version's out. If you go to the What's New page, and you can just Google What's New in Spotfire and find the 10.3 version, you'll see everything that's been released in this version, lots of details and screenshots. And one quick thing I wanted to point out before ending today's call is a new trust for data function. So in the past, you would trust Iron Python scripts, JavaScript. Now you can go into Manage Trusts and Scripts and File, and you can see all your scripts together. You can see JavaScript, you can see Iron Python expression functions and data functions. You can create new ones here as well. And there's a new alerting and notification capability. So what I'm going to do is actually just, I have these Voronoi polygons that are generated by a data function here. And I'm going to just trigger an alert so you can see what this looks like. Let's actually, I want to do it on this one. Edit scripts. This is opening on my other screen, so I'll bring it here. So I have this script, and I'm intentionally just going to fudge this. I'm just going to, I don't know, let's see, I'll just take out some code here. So I know that this is going to break. And let me refresh this. And you see here, this pop-up shows up that shows that there's an error. And you can go to notifications and click this. And now you have a little bit better view about that error detail. You can copy it to clipboard. And you can unclick this if you want to hide the pop-ups. If you have, make sure you let your administrators know if you have a bunch of analysis that have data functions that need to be trusted, there is a way that's outlined in this document on the community on what's new. There is a way to now get a script report where they can look up all of the analysis in your Spotfire library that use a script, and they can set those to all be trusted or not trusted. So when you upgrade to 10.3, if you don't do this, you're going to get a bunch of untrusted scripts on all of your older analysis. So make sure that they run this tool, and they'll just go ahead and trust everything in the past if they want to do that. Or they can also just get a report and decide at at a per analysis basis which one they want to trust. So that's it for today's session. Make sure that, let's see, show this. So make sure to check out the recordings on YouTube. This will be posted in 1 month. Within the first month, this is going to be on demand on the TIBCO website at this link, and you can rewatch this recording. After a month, you'll be able to see on YouTube, and you can also always ask questions by posting on community and tagging Dr. Spotfire and tweeting with the hashtag Dr. Spotfire or emailing us directly. Next session, we're going to be presenting, we're actually going to have our first customer speaker. Julie Sebi is a Spotfire expert in the Spotfire community, and she's with SM Energy, and she's going to be showing on improving the appearance of text areas and with HTML and CSS. Julie has a couple blogs. She used to do Data Shop Talk and has recently moved this over to Big Mountain Analytics. You might have seen her stuff online searching for Spotfire help. So she runs these blogs, and she's been a longstanding member of the TIBCO Spotfire community and a big help to the Spotfire user base. So make sure to join us next time and see our first customer speaker and see Julie talk about some of her tips and tricks. Thank you, everyone. Oh, I'm sorry. I just saw a question in the chat about the date of Julie Sebi. It is actually, sorry, not June 4th. It's going to be July 2nd. So apologize for not updating that slide.